Κυρίες και κύριοι, καλησπέρα σας. Είναι χαρά μου να σας καλωσορίζω στη σημερινή μας διαδικτυακή εκδήλωση. Επειδή μας παρακολουθούν προσκεκλημένοι από το εξωτερικό, αλλά και για να εξυπηρετηθούν οι ξένοι ομιλητές του σημερινού πάνελ, όπως κάνουμε και στα προηγούμενα Doing Business In, θα συνεχίσουμε το πρόγραμμά μας στα αγγλικά. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome to our webinar today, and thank you all for joining us. I am Betty Alexandropoulou, Executive Director and Board Member at Enterprise Greece, the National Trade and Investment Agency for the Greek state. This is the 8th webinar in our Doing Business In series and the first in 2021. The series will continue this year as in 2020, over 1,100 Greek exporters participated and received thorough and up-to-date business intelligence for 5 priority markets, namely the United States, Germany, South Korea, Japan, and Saudi Arabia. These were co-organized in cooperation with 7 economic and commercial offices of our Greek diplomatic authorities abroad, and were just a fragment of the digital services we provided last year as Enterprise Greece, showcasing our organization's fast reflexes and digitization acceleration towards this unprecedented health and economic crisis. Over and above the provision of information and intelligence for target markets, we have also supported over 900 Greek trade executives through training, focusing on export companies' digital transformation, as well as over 1,000 companies through B2Bs and trade promotion. Given COVID travel and in-person restrictions, 87% of these services were provided through digital means. So today, we kick off our Doing Business In series with a focus on Brazil, South America's largest economy and a promising market for Greek exporters. The profound interest of Greek export base for new, dynamic, and exotic markets is evident, as over 180 participants had registered until earlier today for this webinar. At this point, I would like to especially thank Mr. Marios Mathiudakis, Head of the Economic and Commercial Office of the Greek Embassy in Brazil, who is co-hosting this webinar. Mr. Mathiudakis, thank you for your invaluable help in putting together this panel and a very insightful agenda. Ladies and gentlemen, it is well known that Brazil is already one of the world's 10 largest economies and with enormously bright prospects ahead. With a population of more than 200 million and with a middle class of close to 100 million, it represents an enormous, albeit sometimes challenging, export market for Greece. Despite the current downturn due to COVID-19, according to World Bank estimations, in 2020, the Brazilian economy is expected to grow by 2.9% as the world emerges from the pandemic, offering even more opportunities for Greek companies. The rapid growth of the Brazilian economy, its fast-growing consumer base, and the recent European Union Mercosur free trade agreement open up new prospects for Greek exporters. Greece and Greek products already enjoy a positive image in Brazil. Recently, the focus on health and well-being worldwide as a result of the pandemic, as well as Greece's reputation for its high-quality food sector, have leveraged the position of Greek agricultural products. Greece's food products, such as its world-famous olives and olive oil, its fresh fruits, its dairy products, such as the renowned Greek yogurt, have all seen strong export growth over the past 12 months. As such, we believe that Greek food products have enormous potential in Brazil. Likewise, there are major trade opportunities for Greek pharmaceuticals, personal care, health, and beauty products. The country is blessed with an astonishing biodiversity and a profusion of herbs and medicinal plants that is unmatched anywhere. Today, roughly 120 Greek companies produce a vast range of health and beauty products that are exported around the world. As we begin a new year and amid recent medical breakthroughs, 2021 presents great opportunity for rebooting trade relations between our countries. Apart from food and beverage sector products, the potential of Greece's fast emerging technology and innovation sector, as well as Greece's design and creative industries are all fields for further development. At this point, it's best to let our speakers take the lead so as to explore altogether the exciting perspectives of the Greek-Brazilian market. Unfortunately, our Greek ambassador to Brazil, His Excellency Mr. Ioannis Pediotis, due to last-minute unforeseen circumstances, is not able to be with us today. The General Consul of Greece in Sao Paulo, Mr. Stylianos Kourmouziadis, will address today's webinar on his behalf. Today, we also have with us prominent speakers from the Greek and Brazilian communities. Mr. Konstantinos Tafanitakis, Export Manager of Alpha Estate Winery. Mr. George Karakaksis, General Manager, Monte Dictis Imports Exports. Mr. Leandro Carvalho Oliveira, International Executive, Sao Paulo Supermarket Association. And Mr. Jean-Claude Silberfeld, International Affairs, Fecomercio SP. They will all share with us their invaluable experience of doing business in Brazil. I would like to now pass the floor to our General Counsel, Mr. Stylianos Kourmouziadis, and thereafter Mr. Matsoudakis will follow. They are sharing the same desk, the same office, so you will see their that they're calling from the same place. And so I would like to welcome you to the floor, Mr. Stylianos Kourmouziadis, and thank you all for being here with us today.
Hello, thank you, Mr. Alexandropoulou, dear Betty. Thanks to everyone and to the whole team of yours, and of course to Marios Matsoudakis, our close collaborator here, our counselor for economic and trade commercial matters here of the embassy. This is a great opportunity for me to be with you and to be addressing on behalf of our ambassador, who's impeded, unfortunately, at the very last moment, this excellent chance to explore further the opportunities of the Greek-Brazilian trade relationships. I'm delighted to be speaking at this Enterprise Greece webinar, though we are convening under very difficult circumstances due to the pandemics and the COVID-19. As I said, this endeavor of yours, Enterprise Greece, in joint effort with our counselor here, Marios Matsoudakis, is an excellent opportunity and represents an impressive lineup of speakers, both from Brazilian and the Greek side. Despite the traditionally good relations between Greece and Brazil, we're always looking of ways to further promote and deepen our trade and commercial relationships, and also all our political, cultural, and economic ties. In addition, Brazil is a promising trading partner and a dynamic export market for Greek companies, where we have seen a sharp increase in exports in recent years, thanks to the excellent job here done by the embassy and our commercial counselor, especially in the years 2018 and 19, as well as a growing interest by various industries in the Brazilian market, for example, the pharmaceutical industry. It is indeed a market that is both challenging but also filled with opportunities, and we do believe, the embassy and the consulate general, that Greek exporters have yet to properly explore these opportunities which lie ahead. Consequently, we would like to invite Greek exporters to engage even more in the Brazilian market. Our embassy and the consulate general here in Sao Paulo are keen on supporting such efforts. I would also like to highlight that the conclusion of the European Union-Mercosur trade agreement and its imminent ratification from both sides can be a solid basis for further strengthening the trade relationships between Greece and Brazil, and it is expected to contribute to the gradual reductions of high tariffs on various diverse products, such as wine and pharmaceuticals. So there lies as well a great opportunity in the near future for Greek exporters as well. So as we work through all these challenges that we're currently facing, I would like to assure you that both the ambassador, on behalf of whom I'm speaking, myself personally here, the embassies and consulates general staff, we are ready to provide whichever assistance to you, Greek exports companies, as well to Brazilian interested parties in investing in Greece. And we're committed to ensuring that the Greek-Brazilian trade and investment relationship continues to grow and deepen in the years ahead. Wishing all the participants good luck to their endeavors. I'd like once more again to thank you all for your excellent work and contribution, and for the success of this webinar. I now pass the floor to Marios Matsoudakis.
Hello and good evening to Greece. Thank you, Mr. Hormouziadis, for the excellent introduction. I would like to thank from my side Enterprise Greece for this excellent opportunity to launch this amazing series of webinars. And we are very happy and contribute to this webinar. Thank you, Ms. Alexandropoulou, for the excellent work and all the team, amazing team of the Enterprise Greece. I would like also to thank our other participants like Mr. Karakakis, our dynamic importer of Greek wines, Mr. Alvanitakis, the export manager of Alpha Estate Winery, which is one of the best European actually wineries currently, the Alpha Estate Winery. Also Mr. Leandro Oliveira, the international executive of the APAS Supermarket, Sao Paulo Supermarket Association, as well as Mr. Jean-Claude Silberfield from the Brazilian institution FEComércio, who is promoting the international cooperation, and he's going to present us the how to enter the Brazilian market. So at this time, I would like to begin my presentation about Brazil. I will speak about the bilateral trade between Greece and Brazil. Brazil, just a few words about the country profile. Brazil is one of the biggest countries of the world. It's the largest actually country of South America. It has population to 211 million. It's a federal republic. The capital is Brasilia. Of course, it's the largest economy region of Latin America and the seventh largest economy in the world. In 2020, the nominal GDP of Brazil was 1.1 trillion euro. GDP per capita was 14,677 euro. The Brazilian exports in 2020 reached 172 billion euro, and the imports of Brazil reached 130 billion euro. So as of 2020, Brazil had a trade surplus of about 42 billion euro. The GDP, the last data we have in November 2020 was 0.6%. Inflation 4.72%. The inflation rate was raised because of the pandemic and especially the increase of prices in food items. The currency rate is €1 6.5 Brazilian reais, which is a bit not very convenient for exporting, but yet we're expecting this currency rate to a little bit. Just a few words about how big is Brazil. We can see here this map at the place where is UK is written is São Paulo. So São Paulo state is a state. São Paulo is the state of Brazil. Has the size of actually of UK. Spain, as we see, which is ahead of UK, has the size of Minas Gerais. In France, which is in front of Spain, has the size of Bahia. So we can conclude that it's a huge, really country with many business opportunities, as we are going to analyze afterwards. At this point, I would like to mention, to say a few words about the EU-Mercosur trade agreement. As maybe you know, in 2019, the EU the European Union and Mercosur reached a political agreement for ambitious, balanced, and comprehensive trade agreement. This agreement is about to cover a population of 780 million, and it's the largest trade agreement that EU has ever concluded. We are expecting EU companies to save more than 4 billion euro in duties per year. We are expecting also, as Greece is going to favor our exports, product exports like pharmaceuticals and wines, because pharmaceuticals duty rate now is 14% and wine is 27%. So we are really, Greece will also benefit from slashing Mercosur high tariffs. A few words about São Paulo, which is considered to be the economic powerhouse of Brazil. The economy of São Paulo represents about 31% of Brazilian gross domestic product. It has 45 million inhabitants. Is the most populous as well as wealthy state of Brazil, concentrating the fourth largest consumer market in Latin America. It houses also the major Brazilian highways and major airports in the country, like the Port of Santos, which accounts for about 25% of the Brazilian trade flow. Sao Paulo also is the main destination for business tourism in Brazil. Some overview about the trade balance between Greece and Brazil. In 2019, as Mr. Hormuziadis mentioned, 2018 and 2019 we had a considerable rise in our exports in Brazil. Actually, in 2019 we had a trade surplus, the second time after 2013 in the last 10 years. During the last 10 years. So in 2019 we had 134 million euro exports, while Brazilians had 133. Here you can see the breakup. We actually had a surplus 0.8 million euro. During 2020 we are expecting actually a reduction in our exports because, of course, of pandemic that hit severely the Brazilian economy. But in our predictions, we can tell that from 2021, we are going to continue the rise of our exports as it happened the last years. The main Greek exports in 2019, as we don't have real statistics for 2020 yet, I will mention a few. We exported light mineral oils, 79% of our exports, cement, confidential products, medicines, part and accessory machines for the preparation processing of textile materials, part of razors, olive oil in its fractions, marble, magnesium obtained by melting with electricity, polypropylene in initial forms, and aluminium, strips of aluminium. And peaches actually is canned peaches. While the Brazil has exported in 2019 mainly coffee, 37% of the whole exports of Brazil, clay minerals, tobacco, chemicals of wood with sodium carbonate, pumps, preparation for normal nutrition, sodium, shoes, etc. Here we can see the breakup of Greece exports to Brazil in 2019. And here more analytically, it's actually the previous slide was with mineral oils, and this slide is without mineral oils. 16% cements, 11% pharmaceuticals, It's one product that seems that we have a lot of comparative advantage. Last year's in Brazil, especially, we have a very good rise, a very remarkable rise in the pharmaceuticals in Brazilian market. So we would like to maybe with Enterprise Greece in the future organize some trade mission. It's one product which, as we know, we are very, very strong, especially generic products. 9% confidential products, 7% part and accessory of machines, 6% part of razors, and 5% olive oil. Of course, for olive oil, we are interested very much. We are trying to open the market for the Greeks, specific market for the Greek exporters, as Brazil is, maybe you don't know, it is the 4th biggest importer of olive oil in the world. Some few words about consumer preferences. The last years, Brazil has transformed from a slow growth economy into a consumer-based powerhouse. We can tell that e-commerce market has been growing last years immensely. Brazilians like very much social media. They are typically brand loyal. Of course, they are savvy spenders. They would like they are searching ways for spending less. But of course, we have a specific category that they are very wealthy, and they will buy luxury products without having fear for the cost. Also, they have a love of live music, outdoors, and socializing. This is very important, the social behavior, because it's a social behavior that is compatible with drinking wine, for example, or drinking other alcohol drinks like beers. Brazilians are very open personalities, and this is very good for exporting this kind of products. This slide we can see that the internet has been growing very much significantly in Brazil. 70% of Brazilian population is connected to the internet. Actually, it's one of the biggest shares relative shares in the world, in the internet penetration. And also Brazilian, 71% of Brazil, they own a smartphone. We are referring to this slide especially because if the Greek exports would like to activate the Brazilian market, e-commerce is a very recommendable option. So now I will present some business opportunities for our Greek exporters. The main business opportunities in Brazil: petroleum, of course, pharmaceuticals, as I said before, chemical, fertilizer, plastics, marbles. We would like the construction sector is very big in Brazil. We see here that in 2019 there was a 23% of rise of Brazilian imports of marble. The construction sector is very big. We have very good construction materials in Greece. We would like to give special emphasis on these products. Olive oil and olives, of course, as I mentioned before. Food and beverage sector, of course, which consists of this, in the Brazilian exports represent the 4%. It's a very big number. Electronic games. Tourism also is a sector that we have a comparative advantage. Greece is very famous in Brazil. The Greek products and services are admired by Brazilian consumers. Greece has an excellent image in Brazil, and in tourism there is a lot of potential. So the embassy here, the consulate, gives special emphasis for the promotion of tourism, and we would like to see the rise of Brazilian tourism in Greece, come back to Greece. Later we will have some more specific details. Defense systems and etc. So the biggest, as we made a special reference to food sector, I would like here to present the biggest food and drinks exhibition in Brazil, the APA show. is the Sao Paulo supermarket, which is about to take place in Sao Paulo from 17 until 20 May of 2021. And just to say a few words, it's the biggest food exhibition and drink exhibition in Brazil. And 2019 we had the last time that took place. 847 exhibitors and about 60 million visitors. But for this Passo, Mr. Oliveira, our Brazilian participant, will make a special reference. Some advantages and disadvantages of the market. Advantages, well, the EU-Mercosur trade agreement is about to boost all the European products. We expect the Greek products as well. It's a huge market with a very strong middle class that has been strengthened the last years. And as I said before, an excellent image of Greece. Disadvantages are the following: long distance, of course, and high transportation cost, protectionism, market access barriers. We are trying to solve these market access barriers with the help of the EU representation in Brasilia. Of course, language and cultural barriers. The spoken language is Portuguese. COVID-19, the latest implication and, of course, barriers. Some few words about Greek investment in Brazil. In 2016, Titan Cement Group acquired the Cimento Apodi, Brazilian cement manufacturer, which is operating in the state of Ceará in northern Brazil. The cost of this buy was about 50 million euro investment, and it's considered to be the biggest Greek investment in Brazil. About tourism, as we have said before, it will be the most dynamic sector for promoting in Brazil. In 2019, we had about 82,000 Brazilian tourists traveling to Greece, which on the total percentage of total departures in Greece was 0.24%, which is relatively low, but we are expecting this number with the kind help of maybe Ministry of Tourism in Greece and Enterprise Greece to rise this number, because we have a lot of big perspective in these sectors. Well, in 2020, because of the implications of the COVID-19, this number has been lowered dramatically because Brazilians cannot enter generally the Greek territory because of the COVID-19 problems. Well, so about the COVID-19 implications, the COVID pandemic, as we all know, presented a challenge to public health, food systems, traveling, and work. On the other hand, COVID has changed the consumer preferences. The consumer are changing their purchasing behavior in the wake of COVID-19. In terms of behavior changes, the rise on online buying is noteworthy. But we can also observe the reduced sales in restaurant and food sector, service sector. New business practices we can see that are developing, like telemarketing and the strengthening of e-commerce. So I will refer now to my conclusions. Brazil is a difficult but a promising and dynamic market. Over the last 10 years, the middle class has been strengthened considerably. With a huge population, Brazil is one of the largest food consumers in the world. A gradual recovery of Brazilian economy is expected during 2021. Actually, the prevision is about the rise of GDP in 2.9% in 2021. Provided that the COVID-19 problems has been healed. The trade of goods and services between Brazil is at a relatively low level now, but there is a lot of room for improvement. The image of Greece in Brazil is generally very positive, with our traditional products and services enjoying recognition and admiration. The completion of the European Union and Mercosur agreement is expected to create more opportunities for Greek export companies. COVID-19 sooner or later will be over. We have to work all together systematically in order to build opportunities. We have to participate in trade fairs here in Brazil, in Sao Paulo, in cooperation with all the export organizations, with Enterprise Greece, of course. In most of the cases, we recommend, after studying the market, on-site installation production is considered to be the most effective method for entering the market, especially the construction sector. Promotional actions are required at all levels, collective, sectoral, business. So this was my presentation. Thank you very much. We remained at the disposal of any interested Greek exporting company that would like to export their products in Brazil. The Embassy of Greece and the Consulate of Greece, of course, they remain at your disposal. Here is our email, ecocom-spa@mfa.gr. Of course, in our site in Agora, you can find interesting data about the penetration of Greek products in Brazil and all other specific and relevant information. Thank you very much, and all our speakers.
Mr. Vantakis, you have the floor.
Okay, so first of all, I would like to thank both the Enterprise Greece and the diplomatic authorities of Greece in Brazil for the opportunity for the webinar and for the opportunity for us to explain and show what is our experience in Brazil. Alpha State is a second generation vine grower from the region and also the second half owner of Alpha State. Alpha State is located in northwest Greece in the appellation of Amindion. So whatever image you have about Greece, white houses, sandy beaches, forget about this, because this is what Alpha State looks like. It's in the mountains. It's about around 600 meters above sea level, average altitude. It's a site more relevant to Central Europe than with what someone might have in mind about Greece. It's a very special location for high quality vine growing, and that was the factor that gave us the potential and the decision to install Alpha State in this specific location. Okay. So the two owners, Angelos Iatritis, the winemaker, and Makis Mavridis, the vine grower. Like I said, Alpha State is located in northwest Greece. So anything you have in mind about Greece, forget about it. This is the landscape and the view of the region. This is winter for Alpha State. Actually, last week it was exactly like this. And Amindion is also a historical place. This is part of the kingdom of Alexander the Great and his father before him and his grandfather before him. And Amindion, the name of the city and the appellation, came from King Amindas III, who was actually grandfather of Alexander the Great. So most of this information has already been presented by the previous speakers. The size of Brazil as a market and the importance of economical factors. What is interesting for us here in Greece is that Greece can fit about 65 times into Brazil in order for us to have a perspective about the size of the country and the size of the cities as well, because one city, which is the largest city of Brazil, it's actually the whole population of Greece, which again reflects the size of the country. Since we are wine producers, it's important to have some figures about the wine industry in Greece, in Brazil, but also around the world. So on the left side, you have the world wine production, and on the left, on the right side, you have the wine production in the South Hemisphere, and also some important dates for the Brazilian wine industry from 1886, when at the beginning European varieties were introduced into the country, and up to 1997, when IBRAVIN, the National Brazilian Wine Institute, was formed. And also the worldwide consumption, which is increasing over the last years, and especially for Brazil, from 2020 to 2024, is expected to increase as well. Again, economical factors that has been presented before, but these are facts, these are figures that are important to our trade, considering that in 2010, regular wine drinkers in Brazil between the 10 years have increased considerably, and that by the total wine drinkers is about 83 million, which is a very considerable number, which is an indicator for any wine producer that produces wines that could fit to for the Brazilian market could be interesting. And also, of course, the group age over 35 years old, how that is developing in the country. And this is very important because this is the age that is driving wine consumption in Brazil. And this is also the age group that it's going to establish wine consumer behaviors for the coming years. So it's very critical to be able to present our wines into this target group in order for them to create a threshold of knowledge about Greek wines and Greek brands at the same time. Again, more or less the same. The wine consumer trend in Brazil above 35 years old, from 35 years and above, are driving the growth, and they have more disposable income. They have more also travel experience and are more open to new things. Also, we have to consider the fact that COVID restrictions has increased the in-wine expenditure, not only in volume, but also in value. So people tend to consume less in-house, but of better quality, but always of good value. People like spending more, but not throwing away their money. So they are much more price sensitive in terms of the value they will get for what they will spend. About 70% of them are open to new varieties in new country. Like I said, the average expenditure has increased. The digital channels is something that is very important because digital channels are used from about 30% of regular wine consumers in Brazil, but are not used yet, the digital channels, by young wine consumers. So this is a factor that, again, producers, importers, and distributors should consider when they do their marketing programs for the Brazilian market. It's the third largest market in the world for consumers of wine online, which is a very important factor. Of course, domestic wines, which are becoming every year better in quality and more in volume, are dominating the market. And of course, because of the ties of Brazil with Portugal, Portuguese wine has a very high level of awareness within the Brazilian wine consumers. The challenges that we all face, the wine industry in Brazil, is that we need to move consumers from table wine to fine wine to increase the knowledge and the appreciation of better quality wines, to educate wine consumers on moderate consumption, because it's always a challenge in new markets to keep a balance between these very, very critically important matters, to increase the number of regular drinkers. And there is a distinction. Regular drinkers are people that will drink wine more than twice a month. So there is a huge room to develop this segment of the market, to increase the frequency of drinking, which is similar to what I was just saying, to educate on new regions and varieties, which is the biggest challenge for wine producing countries like Greece, the countries that are not known, not established, and of course to adjust to post-COVID consumption behaviors, which needs marketing tools and a different approach from the producers to the distributors and to the final consumer. This is a very technical analysis, on the SWOT analysis that everybody should do entering into a new market, where we develop the strengths of the market, the weaknesses of our country as a wine producer for Brazil, the opportunities and the threats. Something that is quite interesting in the weaknesses is the small number of Greek restaurants in Brazil, which is, let's say, an international factor, because we see that in generally speaking, if we exclude, of course, Germany or Melbourne or some cities in the US, in countries where we have small Greek communities, we have a small number of Greek restaurants. But what we are living right now is the renaissance of Greek gastronomy internationally, which is spreading from US to Europe, basically in London and in the UK, to Australia, and also in the Middle East and in other countries. Even in China, we have some really nice Greek restaurants, which is, again, a factor that can help develop Greek wine in the Brazilian market, because wine is something that will generally go hand in hand with gastronomy. And of course, the Mediterranean lifestyle and the Mediterranean cuisine is which has a lot of health benefit, is something also that can benefit and can be used for the Greek wine industry when entering a market like the Brazilian market. Coming now, our conclusion for deciding to enter the Brazilian market is that, of course, domestic produced wine dominates the market. Mercosur zone wine producers, of course, enjoy better import duties within Brazil, which is a handicap. Established wine producing countries dominate the imported wine market. Portugal, like I said, with the ties that it has a very high level of awareness in Brazil. One factor that is a given is that Greece cannot compete in price-sensitive commercial mass-produced wines. We need to have in mind that Greece produces less than 1% of the world production. Imagine that Bordeaux, which is one producing region in France, produces in one vintage twice the volume of all the country of Greece. So we need to focus on high value wines and high quality wines. It doesn't make sense for us to produce wines, anybody in Greece, wines that are of commercial perspective, mass produced. Imagine that in our case, for example, we have 200 hectares privately owned vineyard in Greece. This is the third largest wine producing privately owned vineyard in Greece. And if we take these 200 hectares and we take them to Australia, this is the vineyard of a small size garage winemaker. Or even in South America, if we go to Chile or to Argentina, the relation is the same. So we need to keep focusing on high quality wines of very good value. And this is exactly why Alpha Estate wines are a perfect fit for the Brazilian wine market. And the aim that we have is for Generation Y, which has the characteristics that we explained before. Wine connoisseurs, wine consumers that are open to new wine destinations, new countries, Greece, Georgia, Lebanon, this kind of consumers. And of course, we need to consider the consumer behavior that COVID has now infiltrated into the market. The necessary requirement for anybody deciding to invest into Brazil throughout the chain, producer, importer, distributor, is to commit to invest time to educate and assist in the market, because anybody involved in the wine business with Greek wine internationally, and especially in a market like Brazil, is not selling a wine, is educating the consumer into something that is totally new. And we always need to have in mind that the perception that the wine consumer internationally has about Greece when they visit Greece is of low quality wine that is served in a jug, Retsina, but this is something that is a small segment of the Greek wine industry. The Greek wine industry has gone a long, long way since that time, and we need to re-educate consumers internationally on the new level of Greek wine production from vineyard to bottle. A very important long-term advantage is the newly signed EU-Mercosur agreement, which of course will bring down the levels of taxation and duties, and which will make, of course, more accessible European, but moreover Greek wines into the European Brazilian wine market. So that's more or less the presentation about us for the Brazilian market. Some information about Alpha Estate. We are very much committed to sustainable management from the vineyard to the winery. Like I said, we are 100% estate grown, produced, and bottled. So we don't buy grapes, we don't buy bulk wine, we don't sell bulk wine. Everything is vertical in our production. Imagine that 2/3 of the manpower employed by the company are land workers. That, of course, is something that is very important when you have your own vineyard. The soil profile of the region is very important. The rootstock selection, the density of plantation, the management of the vineyard. We are using 0 herbicides, and we are very much proactive in the sustainable viticulture. We have certified for our sustainable viticulture. We are ISO certified, and we are vegan certified. All our wines are vegan. Not all of them are certified. We are proceeding progressively, moving into certifying all of our wines under vegan certification. We are the first vineyard in Europe back in 1995 when we started planting our vineyards to install underground irrigation. Today we have more than 1,000 kilometers of underground irrigation, and that gives us the possibility to be very, very precise in the management that we do in the vineyard. We are using satellites to monitor the crop, the vigor, the speed of the maturity of the grapes from block to block. This is a program that we do together with the University of Athens, the Polytechnic School of Athens, for many years now.
Sorry, Mr. Romantakis, please 1 more minute because we are going out of schedule. Thank you.
Okay. Green harvest. I mean, things that we do that are very much in line with our philosophy for sustainable viticulture, respect for nature, for human, and for the product that we are producing. Thank you very much. This was my presentation.
Good morning from Brazil. I'm George Karakakis from Monte Dictis, importing company of premium Greek products in Brazil. I'd like to thank the organizers for the invitation and the opportunity to participate in today's event, especially Mr. Mathiudakis. My presentation will be about the Brazilian wine market, making an overview and pinpointing the major trends observed and the opportunities that arise through this COVID-19 crisis. Monte Dictis is a new founded in 2018 importing company with a mission to introduce to the Brazilian market premium Greek food products. Let's start with an overview of the contents of my presentation today. Let's begin with some numbers that already have been mentioned. What I want to pinpoint here is that 40% of the Brazilian real devaluation during 2020, and that the wine market in Brazil represents 0.2 of the Brazil's GDP. Less in percentage, but still a huge number. The wine consumption and consumer profile in Brazil, some numbers are already mentioned by Mr. Romantakis. I'm going to pinpoint that 3 million new consumers added in 2020. The typical wine consumer is 35 to 55-year-old male, but younger and drinkers and females are entering the market. The age group of 18 to 24 are starting to drinking wine more frequently than the older. You can see here that about 68% of this group drink wine regularly. The average consumer pays 12 reais, about 1.8 euro per bottle for local wine, and about 11 euros for imported wine, that the majority is red wine, 70% 77% of the imported wines are red, while white and rosés are increasing their market share. About 30% of the consumers buy online, making Brazil the third biggest market for online sales after China and UK. The local table wine dominates the market. Local wine is mainly bought in supermarkets, while the imported is found in restaurants, bars, and hotels. Consumer is very price sensitive here in Brazil, but they are open. More than 70% are willing to try new countries, new varieties, new grapes. In Brazil, only 3.4% of the total alcohol consumption comes from wine. This is well below the New World average of 13 and the world average. There is a space here for the wine consumption to expand. We see here the country of origin awareness respective to consumption share. You see that Greece is not known as a wine producer in Brazil, Portugal and Chile being the most known. One market in 2020 reached about 500 million liters. The consumption per capita is about 2.8 liters per adult in 2020. This consumption differs strongly between states. Rio Grande do Sul, that is the main wine producing state in Brazil, has an average consumption of 4.5 liters per adult, while Rio de Janeiro, which is the leader in imported wine consumption, consumes about 5 liters per adult. It's important to note here that these calculations are based on the hypothesis of the all wine imported and the local wine sold in the market is consumed during the period, lacking any other body to monitor the retail market in Brazil. Here you can see the consumption figures. Brazil is among the last, 2.1 for the last year. But clearly there is a trend. The total consumption market, the total wine market increased by 27% in 2020 from 390 about in 2019. 63% of this wine is local wine that does not come from vitis vinifera. It's table wine. Only 6% of the total wine is coming from vitis vinifera in Brazil, and the rest 31% comes from the outer market, is imported. The still fine wine that mostly import the Greek exporter reached about 400 million USD in 2020, an average 70% increase from 2099. There's a clear increased trend. You see the blue dot line here, and the same figures, the same numbers, if expressed in Brazilian reais, shows an increase of almost 52% to 2 billion reais, a new record. Although the Brazilian real devaluated about 40% this last year. Let's see here the figures of the imported wines in 2020. We can see that the import volume and value was increased. The increase was more in volume than in value, indicating a reducing the average FOB value per bottle imported. Champagne and sparkling wine was considerably decreased. The main countries that export to Brazil are Chile, Argentina, and Portugal, representing more than 77% of the imports of the country. In this interesting graph, you can see that all major exporters increase their relative export market share in Brazil more than their respective growth to the rest of the world. As Australia, New Zealand, and the United States are the only exceptions. Here is an interesting shape that shows the FOB import value per bottle. In Brazil, 46% of the bottles imported are up to 1.5 euro, cheap wine, as Mr. Vanitakis already noticed. Let's pinpoint now some main trends observed during the last 5 years before this 2020 pandemic year. We saw that the increasing consumption of wine is there. Online purchasing is expanding. More people are buying online, basing their choices mainly on online information and tasting reports that they read online. Wines and rosés are gaining attention. There is an expanding public that become more sophisticated and eclectic about choosing wine. Wine tasting and events in Brazil are on rise. Many choose to become sommeliers. And there is also a nanotourism and wining trend that becomes more popular every year in Brazil. For 2020, we saw a minimal consumption of on-trade channels of wine, while more restaurants and bars and hotels were closed. But the wine buying for in-house consuming was significantly increased. There was a sharp decline in consumption of champagne and imported sparkling wines, mainly due to less festivities and events, outdoor events. There was an increasing import of there's an increasing import of wine. Also, the local production was increased. And we also noticed an increase in registration of new importing companies during this year. 70% more importing companies than last year. We also see that the average price per bottle was decreased, mainly due to currency devaluation and this financial insecurity that is present in Brazil throughout the 2020. Most importers imported cheaper wine from Chile and Argentina, although most of them are well stocked with a higher value wine. E-commerce, cash and carry supermarkets were the mainly selling channels. Worth to note here that the e-commerce sector is highly expanding in Brazil. All major importers and retailers entered this sector this year. For the near future, for 2021, we can see that the market will adjust, a slight reduce in volume and a slight increase in value is expected as the restaurants and bars are expecting to open. Fine wine consumption will further increase. Growing consumers, there's a trend that we see here that they are opting for aromatic white wines and rosés. The local production of 2020, it will be very good, and this will help also the consumption. Note here that the fine wine local production is also increasing. Challenge faced by the Greek producers, importers and distributors here is to retain the consumers and further attract newcomers in Greek wine, educate consumers and attract them to fine wine consumption. introduce new countries here in Brazil, like Greece, new varieties and wineries to the wide public, build country awareness about Greek, and make Brazilians more brand loyalty. There's a challenge to adopt new consumer habits, e-commerce, online tasting and evaluation, etc., and adopt the new logistics and distribution trends. Mostly above, require persistent and well-designed efforts that, especially in these hard times, I believe that are difficult for the individual producer and exporter to undertake. I'm sure that with events like today's, the institutional support and organized assistance of the competent bodies like Enterprise Greece, these efforts will pay off, I'm sure. This was my brief presentation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Karakakis. Sorry to interrupt you, but we have a lot of less time. So if we may have go faster, it will be easier.
I have already concluded.
Okay, thank you very much.
I'm happy to answer any question you may have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So I thanks for the organization of this webinar, to be a speaker and to introduce my company to the Greek companies as well. So I'm going to start with my presentation. So I'm international executive for the Supermarket Association here in Brazil. And I'm going to tell you something about our company, okay? Our association has been founded in 1971. We have a headquarters in São Paulo City, and also we have 16 branches spread in all São Paulo state. We have a great team here working so hard for the supermarkets. We have 51 directors and 1 president. Together with us, we have 1,500 associated companies that represents 4,000 stores here working with us, 4,000 supermarkets, okay? A little bit about numbers of supermarkets in Brazil. Supermarkets in Brazil represents a billion amount of 378 billions, that represents 5.2% of national GDP. In all Brazil, supermarkets have 1.8 million employees. It's a huge number. And also in all Brazil, there are 9,000 supermarkets stored in all Brazil. So you have a lot of opportunities to introduce your products for the supermarkets, okay? So we have a great number as well of stores. About numbers in São Paulo state. São Paulo state represents a billion amount of 108 billion reais. That represents 1.4% of national GDP. In São Paulo state, we have 547,000 employees as well. And supermarkets store in São Paulo state, we have 29,000 stores spread in all states. It's also a great number. Now I'm going to introduce you our trade show. APAS has the most important trade show of food and beverage here in Brazil, and also is the largest food and beverage event in the Americas. Okay, it is 4 days of shows. We have just a moment. We have 807,000 square meters of exhibition area. So it's a huge space that you can visit. You can join us to being like exhibitors. And during these 4 days, you can have a great work with us. It's an opportunity to show your brand for the Brazilian and Latin America market. Here we have some numbers of the last edition. The last edition was in 2019. During these 4 days, we had like almost 107,000 visits during the 4 days. The last edition, we had 847 exhibitors and 204 international exhibitors from 22 different countries. During the fair, we have some international meetings during the fair that we just moved like 3 millions and $30 million during the event. So it's a great number as well of business partnership. Here we have a video. I'm going to show you the best moments of the last edition. Just a moment. Okay, now I'm going to tell you about visitors and exhibitors. We have like a profile and numbers of their source. So during the APA show, we have some arenas where we simulate some ideas, we exchange know-how. It's a great opportunity to get some innovation, sharing. You can just tell you what you know, just exchange your knowledge, and also you have a great networking just changing cards. It's an opportunity to increase your retail store or your company for the Brazilian market. We have the business connection. We have a partnership with Apex Brazil. During the international business connection, you can have some meeting, as I told you before. You can introduce your product for the Brazilian purchases, for the Latin America supermarkets as well, and you have this opportunity to start business with them. In the last edition, we had, as I told you as well, $330 million during 2019 APA's trade show. So we had a great number of business in the international business connection that you can join with us. You can join with us if you wish. During the APA show, we also have the Management Congress. The Management Congress is one of the most important congress for the retail and for the supermarket as well. During the APA show, we had like almost 4,000 congressists that joined us, and you can exchange and you can exchange ideas, you can get some know-how as well. And during the Congress, you have different auditoriums that you can choose which Congress would you like to watch. There you can talk about human capital, commercial area, e-commerce, strategy, marketing, and more. So we have a lot of topics to discuss and get some knowledge. The next one. Here we have some names who just joined us during the Management Congress. We have some great names here in Brazil, as Abilio Diniz, like Edgar Corona as well. It's a great name here in Brazil. We have Noel Priol from Carrefour. We have Ren Charan from Harvard, Rachel from Lacoste. So we have great numbers, a great names here in Brazil that you can watch and discuss and get some more knowledge to work in your company, in your supermarket, in your store. You can join APAS in different ways. So you can be a sponsor, you can be a congressist, you can be a visitor, you can be an exhibitor. So we have you have many different ways that you can come and join us. You can choose. I can send you a presentation of them, and you can choose the best option for you. Here we have some pavilions. We have 5 pavilions in Expo Center Norte. We have the yellow one, the blue one, the white one, the green one, and the red one. So it's more than 700 square meters that you can walk and you can know a lot of companies, supermarkets, visitors, and more. So APAS Show is one event with many possibilities. So there you have business relationships, you have brand showcase, and also knowledge.
Mr. Oliveira, you have only 1 minute more.
Okay.
I will have to finish. Thank you very much.
Is the last one. So my contact is in there. If you wish, you can send me an email. You can contact me by this mobile number. I also have WhatsApp. You can send me all of your questions, and I can answer you, and I can send you a presentation and the video if you wish. Okay. So I thank you again for the opportunity to be a speaker, and success for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Simpleford from Commercio São Paulo, the floor is yours.
Okay, I will be, since people talk some of these figures I already put in my presentation, I will go fast, okay? Okay, thank you for the opportunity. FEComércio is the biggest Brazilian entrepreneurial organization. We represent almost 10% of Brazilian GDP, 1.8 million enterprise, around 10 million work positions. Okay, this is a short presentation. Okay, figures. You already saw these figures. The only big strong information here is 3 states here, São Paulo, Minas Gerais, and Rio de Janeiro, are in the southeast region, and it's almost 35% of Brazilian population. We have one language, one currency, real. We have land borders with almost all countries in South America, except for Ecuador and Chile. And we do not have any religious, political, or ethical conflicts, okay? Okay, the important thing in this map is the red one, São Paulo, Minas Gerais, Rio de Janeiro. This Sudeste, this is the strongest market in Brazil. The South market is around 15%. Paraná, Rio Grande do Sul, Santa Catarina. The Brazilian Northeast is around 60 million people with another market, and the Central-East and the North are small in population, but they have quite interesting opportunities too. What is important in this map? Normally people need, when it came from abroad, more than one partner in Brazil, right? Because this is a big country, and almost all Brazil chains are not able to cover Brazil, right? When you talk about supermarket, the 10 biggest Brazilian supermarkets do not have 50% of Brazilian market. Okay, main cities. Okay, São Paulo is the population of Greece. This is important. Brazil, Commercio is one of the biggest data provider in Brazil. We do a confidence index since 1994, and this is a quite good indicator of how things will happen on consumption in next months. Okay, keep it in mind that confidence consumer index is important to understand the future of the market in Brazil. We provide data, retail data, supermarket data since 1974, and this is update, right? Just to give an idea what things going on, right? People stop to go out to restaurant, people need to buy and eat at home. Okay, this is important too. We have more cell phone than population, almost the same number, yeah? People buy basically on supermarket, pharmacies, drugstores, different things, okay? What you need to understand, we buy and sell on credit. Everything in Brazil, you are able to buy on credit. You're able to go to pharmacy and buy aspirin, and the cashier will demand you want to pay out once or put in your credit card. Okay, European habits and customs. What's that? We eat, our size, food, clothes size are European. We do not eat sweet beans. That's a good example, right? Our plates are European size. Our glasses are European. We are not American. We are Brazilians. Yeah. You go to the market. You want to come to the market. You need to have a direct market for the people you want to reach. And we have a strong consumer code. The importer will be on charge to receive your product, to sell your product, and if the product have any trouble, the importer will need to solve it. Okay, I will try to go fast because of time, right? Okay, you have a huge market. What's that? You need to find the proper partner, because you need to have a partner here that understands what you want to offer to the Brazilian market. And here I want to tell you 3 things that I used to tell in the last 25 years when I'm doing a presentation for foreigners. Never save money with lawyers. A bad contract will be always a bad contract. We have a Roman law. This is one. Second, you are not able to make money in the first year. You need to have patience. Yeah. The third thing is when you will be presenting to a potential partner, the partner in Brazil will never tell you no. Maybe yes, but you need to have patience. You need to have time. Okay, then I need in the pandemic period, FEComércio through FEComércio International, where I work, are providing for foreign companies B2B virtual. We provide, we find a potential partner, we put you together with them, and the first meeting we'll provide the link, we'll provide the help in the meeting, we'll be there. Yeah, to help the first contact. We translate not English, we translate the meaning of the conversation. Okay, when you talk about new player in the market, you are talking about wine, plenty of presentation regarding wine. We have new players in the market. These players we have used to have supermarket importing direct, like Carrefour, like Casino, and former importers, traditional importers, and now we have 2 new actors. I'm talking about São Paulo. I live in São Paulo, right? Oba and Natural da Terra as good examples of people who start selling fruits and vegetables, and today is not a supermarket, but when you enter there, it remembers something like that, okay? Nobody told in the presentation before, this is quite important. Local certification are mandatory, yeah? Olive oil need, olives on can, canned peach, wine, cosmetics, everything need to be registered. I have a wonderful European certificate, organic certificate, quite good, but you need to have one here. The commercial help to present people who can orient and provide this service, okay? Normal importers know how to certificate too. If someone wants to sell to public sector buy on tender basis. And normally you need to have a local partner. We can help with this if you need, okay? Okay. As a consumer, I would like to fix some of this information. Olive, it's quite hard to find olive from Greece in São Paulo. Yeah, I'm used to go to 3-4 supermarkets. I live in a neighborhood quite with the office quite good, and I'm not able to. Only one place I'm able to buy caramel. Okay, just to give an example. Olive oil need to be on dark green bottles. Brazilian are not used to buy olive oil. We have some offer with different bottles. We are not used to buy cans. Yeah, container oil can provide an idea. This is a mixed oil. Okay, Brazilian buy on price or brand. When you come here with a new brand, if a supermarket brings here like a Furo Casino, they'll try to help you offer that. This is a Greek brand, and they have own brand too, right? They buy oil. I'm talking about Carrefour and Casino. They buy from a producer in Greece, and then they put Casino brand here, and they guarantee that is a good product. Okay, the Greek offer here, we have in the last few years, Greek restaurants start to show the flag. We have a small Greek community, but they used to have 1 or 2 restaurants. Okay. People buy when they know what they are buying. Yeah, we need to have a new product need to have a strong market approach. Of course, if you have a good importer, you have a supermarket bringing your product, they'll help you. But you need to have patience. Yeah, remember, when you arrive in Brazil, you need to have patience. The market is wonderful. If you have okay, I'm ending.
Thank you.
Okay. Only just about cosmetics. Core start showing its flag in Brazil with small kiosks in malls. Okay. I talk about we provide virtual B2B, and we are here to help people to not lose money entering in Brazilian market. Okay, it was a pleasure. I'll be here to help you. The organizer have my mail. Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you all for your participation and for your excellent presentations. We have to share one audience questions. We have a lot, but we are going to share one, just not to exceed our time. And it's going to be to Mr. Mathiudakis, who will answer. And we would like to ask him if the dairy Greek products, for example, of feta and honey, may be exported to Brazil, and if it is allowed it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mrs. Triposkopou, for the excellent critical question. For time being, it is not possible to export these Greek products to Brazil because of the fact that there has not been yet been signed an equivalence of health inspections between Greece and Brazil. In Greek, it's called Ισοδυναμία Υγειονομικών Επιχειρήσεων μεταξύ Ελλάδας και Βραζιλίας. I would like to point out about this matter that the initial request for the export of Greek dairy products and honey was submitted by the Greek side to the Brazilian authorities in 2011. The relevant inspection of the Brazilian was conducted in 2015, and the final report and answer was issued in 2019. Well, the Brazilian answer was delayed excessively. However, the final conclusion was negative. After the Brazilian authorities identified various problems in the Greek companies, their installations, the companies factory of milk and honey that were inspected. Therefore, a health inspection of Greek dairy and honey companies interested in exporting these products to Brazil should be reorganized. The issue is handled by the Ministry of Greek Ministry of Rural Development. We are here to help to relaunch the procedure, and finally this Brazilian visit to Greece reorganized again, and hopefully to reach a positive outcome. But for the time being, all in all, just to sum up, we cannot, these products cannot be exports, but we are about to re-examine the issue with the Ministry of Rural Development. Thank you very much for the question.
Thank you very much. We would like to thank you all distinguished speakers for their excellent input. Και ευχαριστούμε πολύ τους Έλληνες εξαγωγείς για τη συμμετοχή στο συγκεκριμένο webinar και σας καλούμε να παρακολουθήσετε όλες τις δράσεις μας, καθώς και θα ακολουθήσουν νέες σειρές webinar doing business in. Σας ευχαριστούμε πάρα πολύ. Καλό απόγευμα.